Martech stacks, the Jugaad Martech stack, and that very interesting presentation by Netcore. The one question everyone's asking now is on ROI. Okay, if I spend on Martech, where am I getting the ROI? Where's the real business impact? And that's what we're talking about now. So I have a very interesting panel here also. We have Rajat, who works in supplying a lot of the infrastructure to large projects in Schneider Electric. I have Manas, who works with all of the tools that you see in Martech because he runs a marketing agency. And he'll probably be able to give us a lot of insights on where the ROI is coming. And then we have Karan, who works in Hero Realty, which is a very traditional kind of a business. But of course, when it comes to real estate, I guess everyone is a target audience here. So I'm going to pick his brains also about how they are looking at the ROI on Martech. So to start with, Rajat, how is Martech accelerating business impact for marketers today, in your perspective?
Thank you, Roshun, and good afternoon. I think Martech, from my perspective, is something marketeers cannot live without. Yeah, so it's not an optional. It's not an optional tactic or tool which marketeers need to have in their ammunition. There are several marketing tools or Martech tools which are available, right? And there are very critical use cases which demonstrate strong business impact from Martech tools. Yeah, so for example, when you use Martech for email marketing, it is able to drive efficiencies. Yeah, it is able to drive efficiencies. It is able to improve productivity. Improvement in productivity automatically means there is an impact on business. Then Martech also helps you to cull data, understand the critical insights which are needed to make your messaging very sharp. Yeah, so we are living in a world where you cannot use one content for everyone. So you have to be highly personalized. You need to understand your audience. Because I work for Schneider Electric, which is predominantly a B2B company. We work with the CEO to an electrician and everyone in between, which is like 11 personas and 12 segments. So it becomes extremely critical for us to understand how Martech can help us get those insights so that the messaging and the personalization. The third aspect where Martech really helps businesses grow is because it is able to show you what are you getting from your investment. Because normally when you invest money on marketing, there is a question, what is the real impact on the brand and what is the real impact on business. So using Martech tools, marketeers are able to get those hardcore metrics, whether it is, it's not about getting a lead. It is about which kind of lead you are getting, what quality of lead you are getting. Are you getting lead of a customer which is high value customer, or are you getting lead of a customer who's a low value customer? So it helps marketeers and businesses in making marketing more sharper, but eventually it helps in giving the right visibility, which helps overall business to grow.
Okay. Manas, since you work with a lot of Martech tools, which one do you see as most effective when it comes to accelerating the use of Martech?
See, I can't take one name, but I know of a time when Salesforce was being used, actively just for data, and the way, the progress has happened in terms of, as Rajat mentioned, in terms of slicing and dicing data, giving it, as an output and utilizing it for the messaging which goes further. If you look at an organization, for instance, like Schneider, there's a B2B and B2C both. And, there would be certain stakeholders, there would be certain super distributors. And the messaging which goes to each and every one of them, has to be customized basis, their usage. And with AI adding on to it, you would have, say, you have 2 lakh distributors. You have somebody like a Shah Rukh Khan or, a known face out there. You do a shoot and customize messages for each and every one of your distributors. That's the power of, the Martech tool, which probably can be used. It takes everything put together. It takes like a lot of data slice and dice. It takes a lot of creative elements which need to be fixed, for people who have to use it further, and customization and personalization for your stakeholders, which then therefore can be used for the final customer. So that's the power of, Martech we are talking about, and that's the power of data, which if it feeds back into the system, can be used very well for the final objective, which is out there.
Yeah. And we're going to be coming back to the use of AI. I guess that's something that probably will give you a maximum ROI when you look at it in the current sense and the way things have evolved. But before that, I just want to get Karan's perspective on, which Martech tool you see as most effective in accelerating impact.
The good news is there isn't one.
Okay.
This is one of those questions which doesn't actually, in my mind, have an answer. It depends on the industry, it depends on the use case, it depends on which segment of the funnel you're talking of. It depends on what your KRAs are. So yes, there is a sales force which was very, very good and effective for one kind of operation and requirement, and there are a million others. So at the cost of sounding boring to roughly 87 people sitting in this room, which I counted, unfortunately, there isn't a clear answer. I don't have an answer.
Okay. Right. So, Rajat, how about you? How would you look at it? Which one would you find more effective?
So, I agree to Karan. See, there will never be one tool which will be available like a miracle which helps you engage with everyone. But you from this laundry list of thousands of tools, you need to find the right tool. For example, we at Schneider Electric use several tools. To give you an example, we use a tool like Demand Base. Now, what this tool does is traffic which is coming on our website, it is able to precisely tell us that the traffic which is coming from which company. Yeah, who is coming, what persona is coming, is it a C level, is it a O level, is it a sustainability? So, so that, because we do a lot of account-based marketing, so this is one. I'll not go into specifics. We use Medicine Logic, another Martech tool, to reach to the right segment. If I have to run a campaign for airports, or I have to run a campaign for real estate, and so on and so forth, I use Medicine Logic to target the right stakeholders. Of course, we are using tools which everyone else uses, like email marketing. We use Salesforce Marketing Cloud, so on and so forth. So I would say that while there is no one tool which is there which can meet all your objectives, you need to have a basket of about 7 to 8 tools which can help you reach the right target audience, which can create the right content for you, and which can also in the end able to drive the right ROIs.
Right. So, which now brings us back to AI, right? Investing in AI, do you think the ROI would be faster? Because a lot of the earlier Martech functions can now be quickly automated with AI?
Yep, definitely. So the output of things, which probably required a lot of, manual intervention, and we were discussing it internally as well. A lot of lifestyle shoots and everything else which came along with it can be customized to real imagery, lifelike people, and it doesn't require, models to be at a certain location or the location in itself. So all of those things have transitioned. It's up to us to adapt it quickly. The turnaround definitely is better. The customization on millions and millions of data output and outputs in terms of creatives and everything else has amplified. So time, which used to be a constraint earlier, that 3 महीने में हमारी एक ad film बाहर आएगी और ये सब आएगा, that will go away. It will turn around very, very quickly, because the ecosystem and the imagery and the data which has already been generated has been assimilated and outputs have been generated in the ecosystem, be it Google or be it OpenAI or anybody else. So the turnaround time of each and everything has expedited and it has become accurate. Also, it's to your due judgment to make sure that the output, which comes out is absolute and it is a lot lifelike, otherwise, which by sheer looking at things, you will not be able to identify if this is human or non-human. So that segregation has gone away and therefore, which means that everything which happens now will happen like very, very quickly.
Yeah, but so when it comes to like one of the biggest things in Martech is lowering your customer acquisition cost, right? Here, investing in AI, one, it could be an expensive investment right now because it's a new tool. So where do you see ROI, happening then? Manas can start and then you can take.
Okay, I know that, some of the financial players who had customer calling teams, they have rationalized them. And depending upon the cohort of customers it reaches out to and the propensity of them replying to it, they have segregated it on AI-based calling and manual calling.
Okay.
The way you segment them would be based on maybe their credit score or whatever. They know that, there is a set of customer who seldom answers and might not be the best customer to convert, which also was utilizing a lot of customer calling teams. That has been made AI-based so that whatever conversions happen out of that, would be a low-hanging fruit, like if it's happening there. But still, a lot of things are happening manually, and the conversions are happening manually. However, attempts have been made to make it as manual as possible. Like the way they say that chatbots of the earlier days, were all system-fed. Chatbots today would give you answers probably which a human might be giving you. And similar is the thing with voice calling and things which help you optimize your cost as well. So I think that's one example where I feel that it has been implemented well. And there are organizations, which we speak of. I think Mob Avenue is one, and there are certain other organizations who are helping to deliver it out as well.
Okay. Karan, can I get your perspective on this?
Question kya?
Reducing the customer acquisition cost by investing in AI. Do you see ROI happening from that?
Of course. And that's counterintuitive, right? Manas has explained everything. There's nothing more that I can add to that. But I think what needs to happen is to understand that AI does not live or operate in a silo or in a vacuum, right? So as a model, and AI, it's become very sexy and conversational now, but AI has been around for the last 20 years. What's become sexy and conversational now is because of the LLMs, which started happening with ChatGPT, 2 years ago, right? Otherwise, AI has been a part of our lives for a very, very long time. And I'm saying right going down to even at the acquisition, at the top of the funnel kind of levels. So there's nothing new that's tremendously happening there. And now we start talking of things like CDPs and how CDPs interact with CRMs and all that is fine. But truth be told, this circus has been around for a long time. There's greater awareness now. B, there is a greater willingness, either forced or voluntary, to work with the algorithm, which earlier people thought they could get away with by not working. So the ability and the throughput of AI, the responses that is generating, the efficacy of the work that is doing is today 5x higher than what it was 2 years ago. That's got to do with the fact that we guys have realized as humans that we need to work with this. We're not working against, you don't have to compete with AI. You have to domesticate AI to serve your interest. And your interest being either as a client, who's your interest? Your interest is your customer, right? So how best can you serve that customer of yours? So will that lead to a lower CAC or cost of acquisition? The answer is yes. Is there one tool, one method that serves it for everybody? Is there one, guru mantra that I can give here that will work for across industries? The answer is no. But on the CAC point, and this just goes back to the speaker, the gentleman who was speaking before this session started, let CAC not be your only North Star. You need to look at LTV as well, which is your lifetime value. A lot of people don't look at that.
Yeah.
right? So figure out how can you maximize your LTV using AI. Because a lot of time what we end up doing as business leaders is we just start hoarding data and we start getting very, very happy that we've hoarded more data. You know, we are basically a bunch of hoarders. A lot of us from our childhood, right? We don't know how to make it work. We don't know how to synthesize, assimilate and make it work. So, coming back to the question, will it get in a certain lower efficiency at a CAC level? The answer is yes. There are various use cases. If there are individual industries you want to get deep into, we'd be more than happy to do that. But there is no one single guru mantra there. I'll just say that along with CAC, please focus on LTV as well. Yeah. Otherwise, it's a battle half lost even before you've started it.
And in fact, that you answered my next question as well, because that my next question was exactly that: how you balancing CAC and lifetime value. So in fact, I take that to Rajat. How would you draw a balance between CAC and lifetime value here?
No, I think fully agree with Karan. There has to be a balance between both. Yeah, and I mean, if I have to choose between the two, I will tilt the pendulum towards LTV. Yeah, not because the cost of acquisition, thanks to AI and programmatic and everything, is changing like rapidly. Sometimes you are not able to even understand. For example, if you are running a campaign, your CPLs are like crazily changing, and it is impossible for anyone to even understand why the CPL. So I think the key here is to really go after the right target audience and see that the marketing dollars which you are investing. So how do you minimize waste is something which we are very particular about. Yeah. So how do you don't go to people who eventually are not your TG, or you will or they will not buy from you, and for us LTV becomes extremely critical because it's not one time. Thanks to AI and the transitions which are happening in Martech. If you are not obsessive with LTV and engagement, there is not going to be a time when anyone is loyal to any brand. Yeah, so it becomes extremely critical that marketeers, or not only marketeers, I would say companies, have to be obsessed with LTV, understand the real value which the target audience can bring to you, and also not be obsessed with acquiring new customer, rather focus more on nurturing what you already have in your kitty.
Right. Manas, if you could give your perspective on how one could go about increasing LTV, since that is...
I think largely, what we look at, certain categories have already adopted the concept of LTV long back. If you look at finance as a category, the idea is to get them into an ecosystem, and this is still the time the policies and everything around finance are still, wavy. GDPR is there outside, and in India it is not predominant like that, and the loophole has been used, widely across certain categories. I would take like finance and insurance as one of the categories, that if you get a person into the ecosystem and you have 45 odd offerings, then it is cross-sell and upsell in each one of them. Depending upon the life cycle of the consumer, the organization will know that when did you last take your insurance, which insurance did you take, how much premium did you pay for it. So there's a cycle to it also, that, in a year, maybe 2 years, it'll send you a reminder that you might want to re-establish that engagement. Similarly, they might know that you have just bought a car and then you need a car insurance. So once you are into the ecosystem, getting maximum out of you is the work of Martech as we speak today. And finance as a category is very, very advanced in this. And then there are other categories as well, where multiple SKUs, are sold to an individual depending upon their habits and behaviors. So that's where the real game is. We're not talking about something ki I just, reached out to a customer और मैंने एक बार उसको कुछ बेच दिया है. That is not where we are. We are at a stage where once you come into the ecosystem, You would be there with us for life. I will cross-sell, upsell everything which I have. Even if there is a new category which is there and I'm launching, say, a cosmetic brand, I will use that information there as well. So that's how wide this scape has become and how detailed things can be. You know, be it FMCG or finance or any other category, for instance.
Yeah.
Can I just quickly add to that, yeah? And this might actually be interesting for people in the crowd, in the audience as well. I used to be the head of marketing and actually the first chief marketing officer Fab India ever had, right? So it's pretty much the person who created that function of marketing, this, that, whatever. To give you an example of what Manas just said, when you sell a bed to a person, that person is not going to come back to you and buy another bed for the next 10 years. Right? But if you can figure out that this person who's already now become a customer of yours because he's purchased a bed, him, her, they, them, whatever, yeah, is there a way you can sell them a kurta or a dupatta, which they might come back and buy every 6 months, as and when the fashion cycle changes? Can you sell them a bag of organic tea, which will get over every 40 days, given their consumption? Can you sell them a foot cream, which will get over every 15 days, if it is applied as per instructions? So that one person that you've gotten as a customer, which is the entire CAC conversation that we started off with, how do you leverage that one acquisition you've got to maximize return or value from that one customer over his or her, them or their lifetime? You know, I hope this illustrates the point that all of us are, I think, trying to say, because otherwise, that one customer you acquired to sell one bed, after having sold him one bed, he's pretty much dormant for the next 10 years. वो दूसरा bed खरीदने तो नहीं आ रहा, 2 साल में तो नहीं खरीदेगा. Right? So it's a typical example. He talked of one industry, I'm talking of retail, where you can actually cross-sell depending on various product types, category types, and purchase cycles to push through a much wider portfolio through that one person whom you've acquired. Yeah?
Yeah. And I think, I mean, this is all very well till we get our DPDP Act in. So we still have a window of opportunity. We don't know how much will be restricted after the DPDP Act comes in. Actually, Karan, I just wanted to come back to you. So you spoke about the retail industry where cross-sell, upsell works very well there. Finance, it definitely does. You take a loan, then you get like, you know, other offers from the bank, credit card, this, that, everything. In the reality space, how does it work? Since reality is one place where, you know, increasing the lifetime value of the customer there.
How can it work in a real estate space? Tell me, is any one of you a home buyer? Has any one of you bought a property from any developer in any part of this country? You buy a property. Does the developer reach out to you saying that if you want to buy a second property from me in any other part, I will give you 2% discount? So that's called referral and loyalty. I'm saying that is in the real estate example, it's a great example of how you've acquired one customer and you've used that one customer to sell multiple products. You know, it happens across product classes. I can sell you a plotted development versus a condominium. I can sell it to you in Gurgaon versus a second home in Dehradun or Kasauli or wherever else, or Goa. I can sell you across different price points. One is very luxury, super luxury for end use. The other is a much faster turnaround product to you as an investor where you will be willing to flip it in 2 years and make money. Yeah? So that's a very typical example of how you can actually, within the real estate space, work on LTV. The other thing that you can do is if you have services. If I have club services also as part of, I was also the chief marketing officer, the first chief marketing officer for DLF. Now DLF had clubs and DLF had residential condos, right? How do you cross-sell the club subscription to your residents? It is a myth to think that people who stay in, for example, golf links, Aralia, Magnolias, have an automatic membership to the golf club. No, they don't. It needs to be sold. It needs to be bought. So again, in the real estate context, that's another way of how you cross-sell your product basket. And then there are some more. But I guess that answers what you asked.
Yeah, yeah. So Interestingly, since all of you all, I mean, working in the Martech space, and now there are so many more Martech tools thanks to AI and all that. Where would you put your money now with Martech and AdTech? How would you see, budgets being reallocated? We can probably come in reverse or start with Karan and then Manas.
The lines are blurred. There is nothing called Martech and AdTech. You shouldn't be looking at Martech and AdTech as two different silos. That's a very old, conventional, traditional definition which existed 7-8 years ago when both these categories were slowly coming in. Today, it's all about targeting accurately and it's all about utilizing the database that you have. Whichever method you've got the database into your fold is a different story altogether. But if you are, as I told you earlier, right? If you're just a hoarder and you have no clue how to use it and what to do with it and how to leverage it for efficiency, it's a waste of time. Right? So it's not so much about the technology. I don't think you need to get too fussed about, acha ye Martech hai ki wo. It's not about buying products for the sake of labels and brands that you're buying. मेरे पास Salesforce है, हाँ मेरे पास है. किसी और के पास कुछ है वो भी खरीद लेता हूँ. That's not the point. The maturity is in looking at these products as a strategic asset to the business. The place where these products usually fail the most is where people buy them and don't know what to do with them. Yeah, in 9 out of 10 cases, that's where any of these platforms, you bought it because it sounded very good and your boss wanted to and your board wanted to, but now you don't know what to do. And fundamentally, you have no clue how it works. Nobody trained you enough on them. Except for the guy who came and sold it to you because he had an ulterior motive in selling it to you. Yeah? So I'm not too fussed about AdTech versus, I think it needs to be combined. I think those lines are blurred. I think the more fundamental point is, are you being able to view them as strategic assets? Do you have internal teams to take care of them and to leverage them as assets? Whether it's a marketing team or a digital team or whatever team or cross-functional teams. And how well are you being able to utilize them? Which category they fall into is okay.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so I have a very similar answer to what he's saying, but for a brand, I think as per the maturity of the brand, if you're a new brand, you would want to have AdTech take a certain amount of precedence. However, once they come into the fold, they have to be nurtured through everything Martech and everything which happens there, and also in a scenario where media buying in specific is quite monopolized, by the bigger players. In that situation, you would want your data to take a precedence over whatever you're getting from the outside world. Because, again, a lot of it is push-based marketing and people are coming to just review what you're doing and what's happening there. But when the customer comes into the system, and that I'm talking about, if you've just launched a brand, you would, certainly focus on newer audience. And then, therefore, in consequent years, maybe look at how do you nurture them to make sure that the other products are sold as well at the same time. But if you're a mature, brand in itself, maybe you're a 10-year-old brand or a 7-year-old brand who has a good ecosystem of, the data which you have captured for a variety of categories, of the brands which you have, I think, Martech takes a lot of precedence because whatever you're getting from the outside world is coming from an ecosystem which is dominated by a monopoly of 2 or 3 people.
Right. So, right. Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to figure out is, with so many new tools and everything coming in ever so often, and now with AI also evolving so fast, you could be faced with a scenario where you're stuck with like a legacy system, and then so I just want to figure out, is underutilization of these tools a common challenge in Martech right now? Rajat, you want to give a perspective on that?
I think we have a problem of plenty. There are so many, and we were just chatting about this. We have so many tools, but it is about prioritization. See, you need to, first you need to be clear what are you trying to achieve. See, I mean, it's not about somebody is after you to use and demonstrate and show that you know all the tools which are available and you are using all the tools. First, you have to be super clear in terms of what is the goal you are trying to achieve. Yeah, so are you trying to build the brand? Are you trying to accelerate the business? Are you trying to sell more premium products? Are you trying to upsell adjacencies, etc.? There are plethora of tools available. Yeah, so you need to prioritize. If for example, your priority is, and first party data is becoming extremely critical, while Google has been saying that finally, that we have been hearing this for many years now, that they will eventually, if first party data will become the Bible, then it becomes extremely critical that Martech gets a precedence, just to link to that. But within that, there are several tools. So if your focus is to acquire more high value customers, then the tool you need to use is different. You also need to be clear that we have passed that era where you used to say that I need a tool for email marketing, as an example. Email is thing of the past. You go in the market, you talk to anyone, people say, I don't see email, or I see email on weekends. By the time I see the email, the decisions have been made. So, but everything is happening on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
In for example, Southeast Asia, you have Line, you have WeChat in China, and so on and so forth. So there are plethora of tools. It is for the brand and the company to be clear, and the marketing team and the organization to be clear in terms of what goal that organization is trying to achieve, and then pick the right tool which is able to clearly demonstrate that that tool is able to help you achieve those goals.
Right. So I think we're almost out of time. So Manas and Karan, just quick 30-second sum up from you on this. Are these platforms being underutilized?
I'd say that, definitely the integration and the adaptability is taking some time, but what we see amongst the set of clients which we have, I think most of them have emphasis. They have a separate team just doing this and using a lot of tools, be it for research, slicing and dicing of data, be it for creative adaptation, be it for customization as per, the narratives which come out for each stakeholder. So most of the bigger organizations are cognizant of the fact that there's a change which is happening, and they're getting themselves ready. They're not, there right now, but I think all earnest efforts are going in, adapting AI as a norm overall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And Karan, I'll let you have the last word on this, because we wind up.
100%. 100% underutilized. Now, there could be some exceptions to that rule, but even in the cases where you have exceptions to the rule, go back to the supplier of the platform and ask that supplier that what percentage of your tool's capability is your client currently using. And I would bet my left arm to it that the supplier is not going to say more than 50-60%. Now, if 50-60% is amongst the highest adoption rates or utilization rate of a platform, that itself is an underutilization. And that 50-60% in any case is an exception. In 9 out of 10 cases, people buy it and don't know what to do. So I'm saying, okay, again, there's a generalization there. I say that with a pinch of salt. But are they being underused? 100%.
Right. And we are out of time. So on that note, we can carry on, conversations during lunch. And so I won't keep you between now and lunch. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining me on this panel. Thank you.